So I'm here to debate with you that personality maxing, as well as being an art cell, is much more optimal in the long run than looks maxing. And I'd like to know your thoughts on that.
I don't know if this is, something you just came here to troll for in Clip Farm, but I really doubt it was worth the 3-hour time investment. I don't really think that anyone you show these clips to is going to laugh.
Clavicular, the guy on the left, actually is not only looks maxing, but also personality maxing, meaning his personality type is inherently inclined towards looks maxing or trying to improve their appearance or being overly focused on that. In this video, I will delve more into the personality type structure that lends itself to this kind of expression in the real world. Okay, so this is going to be the overview for today. Aesthete. The aesthete personality type is the one that is the most inclined towards looks maxing. You might not know, but I have written my personality type description of the aesthete personality almost exactly 9 years ago on my blog, typevolution.com. And this is not a new phenomenon, okay? This has been around for the entirety of the human civilization. There have always been people basically obsessed with quote-unquote looks maxing or very much focused on appearance in order to gain social status or some other kind of advantage, especially when it comes to dating and other social dynamics. So this is a personality type, like I said, that is the most inclined towards that. Now, the looks maxing stuff is just one possible expression of aesthetics or the aesthete. So what the aesthete personality is essentially about is also morality mixed in with good taste. And good taste has a double or triple meaning, being about sensorial sensations and then judging what you are tasting. In Jungian terms, related to feeling and sensing. By the way, you don't have to know about this. You can just read my aesthete description, but it's still good to know, okay? Feeling and sensing, specifically introverted feeling, FI, and extrovert sensing, SE. So that then in MBTI terms corresponds with ISFP, personality, and in socionics, ESI. Like I said, you don't need to know these types. You can look these up online if you want. My aesthete description is like a combination of both of these systems and my own observations of the type. So why is it feeling and sensing? Introverted feeling, it's about morality, how you're supposed to act, what is moral, what is considered to be good. And this can also have a dark side.
Yeah, it's basically your entire maxillofacial structure.
Okay.
So you essentially need a double jaw surgery to, look human to your, I would say.
Human!
Extrovert sensing, obviously extroverted, so it's about the externalities of objects. It's how something looks or appears. So obviously looks maxing goes very much hand in hand with extrovert sensing. Why introverted feeling as well? Because once again, you are evaluating it based on your subjective idea of what is good. And that is introverted feeling. Introverted because it is subjective. Introversion is related to the subject. And if we go a bit more into socionics, in socionics there's also a term called clubs. And they group the 16 types, this is one of the 16 types by the way, into 4 groupings. And one of them is SFs. So any personality type that has a focus on sensing and feeling. And in socionics, the ones that focus on FI and SE in their first 2 functions are the quote-unquote heavy socials. Heavy socials. And on wikisocial.net, it's not really explained what heavy means in this context. There's heavy and light. The ESFJ and ISFJ are light socials, and heavy socials are ESFP and ISFP in MBTI terms. Why is that? The heaviness I attribute to the fact that these types influence the social sphere the most. they are the most involved due to the extrovert sensing. Extrovert sensing also has a hands-on quality because of its externalities. So because it's so hands-on and direct and involved and also engaged in hierarchies and to some extent power plays, this is why ESFP, ISFP, or ESI, SEE tend to be the quote-unquote heavy socials that tend to get involved more or want to shape the social dynamics more. So they are the ones that are almost like the initiators of how morals are supposed to be expressed and presented. And the light socials, ESFJ, ISFJ, they tend to just propagate that, or they tend to stabilize that, make it more of a norm across society on a larger scale, like FE tends to do that. FE tends to normalize, both FE and TE tend to normalize, versus FI and TI tend to be more, I guess, inherently disruptive on some level because they are subjective. Of course, introverts, even if you're quote-unquote heavy social, ISFP, ESI, they can still struggle with social skills, obviously, and they can still feel inhibited on some level because of the introversion kind of having like a veil in front of them. So it can still be difficult for them, but at the end of the day, if they really put themselves out there, they will most likely thrive. And you can see that with Clavicular, even though, yes, arguably social issues, according to him, it's still in the field of his strengths of sensing and feeling.
My social skills are quite dog shit, so sometimes it's just like I kind of need to, unfortunately, drug max to be able to fit into like the neurotypical world, I would say.
If you're curious about this, if you would like to know what your personality type might be in this context, check out my free personality quiz. You can find the link in the description box or here or underneath me. I give each of the Jungian personality types a purpose role, and Aesthete is the one of this one, and Clavicular actually personality maxes in that sense. It is an expression of his personality, that's what his personality is supposed to do on some level. However, the way he does it is obviously on the dark side. It is on the dark side because it is destructive and so on. The other aspect, when we go into Enneagram, which is another personality type system, which goes more into the emotional, instinctual aspects of your personality. Clavicular, in my opinion, is clearly the so-called sexual self-pres stacking. So this is the instincts. Sexual, social, self-preservation are the instincts, and you can have a certain stacking, and stacking meaning your first instinct and your second instinct, and the third is like last. It's the last priority and the last focus. Obviously, his one is sexual instinct first and then self-preservation. Sexual first. Well, okay, I have to say this stacking in particular I also call, when they're on the dark side, the deadly seducer. And I have made a video about this. You can check that out as well. The deadly seducer. So why is that? This stacking in particular is trying to entice, seduce. Obviously, the sexual instinct as a whole wants to be seductive or attract. Okay, this is just in general. But especially the SXSP is all about becoming the person who is seductive. And it's also often done through self-preservation means. So because it's on self-preservation, it's about forming yourself into a seductive or attractive person. And if you combine that with the aesthete personality specifically, what you then get is very often looks maxing. Now, looks maxing, you see that especially a lot, of course, in women, also because society and biology emphasizes that women are supposed to look a certain way, etc. There's a lot of biology going into it, of course, fertility markers and things like that. So women, whatever their personality type is, will feel forced into looks maxing. But with the men, it is less the case. And I think it's also why this has become like such a huge thing, because it was somewhat unexpected. But aesthete men, they still do that. Not necessarily like Clavicular, who's pushing it, but they're all doing it on some level, okay? So looks maxing is one version where you're literally trying to make yourself look a certain way. But it can also come out in other ways, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be about your physical or facial appearance like Clavicular is focusing on so hard. It can just be about clothing style, it can be music taste, it can be interior design, you know, like there's other ways how to express that. When it's on the dark side, it is deadly for the quote-unquote victim. Even it can be literally deadly, unfortunately, but it's also just a metaphor. It can be deadly even for themselves. So with Clavicular, how it also comes out is in the way how he's using drugs and very invasive procedures in order to maximize his looks. Once again, it is the specific combination of a dark side, very unhealthy aesthete with this particular stacking, okay? Because aesthetes can also have other other instinctual stackings. This is a very specific combination.
What drugs do you take in a day?
I'm taking testosterone every single day. I take minoxidil for my hair. I take dutasteride for my hair. I also take Accutane. I take 7.5 milligrams of Accutane a day. I use crystal as a stimulant and Tolene Max, right? It's very suppressant of your appetite. I also will take retatrutide once a week. I take melanotan 2 every single day. I'll take IGF-1 and HGH.
If you want to learn more about this, specifically Enneagram and how to create emotional ease in your life, master your emotions, and create a more fulfilling life for yourself, especially also bringing emotional ease into your personal relationships, then check out my course. The link is also in my bio. Well, last but not least, insecurity, okay? So you can have someone who is an aesthete personality in the Jungian sense, who has the sexual self-praise stacking, and he might still not end up being looks maxing or overly on the dark side of it, okay? So how does that happen? Why is this not the case for every guy or even every girl who has this personality configuration? It is all due to insecurity. Insecurity, and obviously the insecurity tends to stem from bad experiences, right? And that's very vague. I don't know exactly what the case is with Clavicular, but he must have had some kind of negative experiences in his childhood or in his surroundings that led him to this, or that, well, that triggered the dark side aspect. Unless someone is really deranged and has like a very strong personality disorder, which by the way is often also caused by trauma, but unless it's really that case, it is often just something in the past happened that triggered the darkness, and or something currently going on that triggers it continuously. And that is usually the case when you're not working on yourself, when you're not fulfilling your instincts, or the way how you fulfill them is suboptimal. If you have insecurity, if you have an insecure attachment style specifically, and also if you're closed-minded, actually, closed-minded as well, dark side, insecure attachment, then you will express something like this. This is just one possible way how it can express itself, okay? But this is how it can come out. These kinds of people can then only attract or find someone else who is like them in this respect. So someone who, in this case, let's say, he can only accept someone who is another aesthete, who is also looks maxing, or who is fitting his crazy beauty standards, right? So this is the only kind of person you will be able to be with. But this person most likely also is going to be insecure, on the dark side, closed-minded, and have an insecure attachment. It's very unlikely you will be able to get anything else out of that. Now, two aesthetes together is actually one of the most compatible pairings, but you won't feel like the other person is supplementing or adding to your life in a more special way, which you only can get with a more complementary personality type, which is a personality type that is more of an opposite or more of a complement to yours. So that would be, in this case, I call it the entrepreneur or the futurist. And you can find all my descriptions on my blog, typevision.com/TVT. So someone who is more on the intuition and thinking logical side. Based on what I've seen from him, he also said even himself that he doesn't want a girl who is quote unquote too smart or too logical. Yeah, it threatens him. It threatens his ego because he is not open to it, because he's too insecure and too closed-minded for this. And this is actually something that is not that rare. A lot of people are not open towards someone who is a cognitive complement to them, and then they often end up with someone who's very similar to them, which is, like I said, it's not a bad thing actually. If you are both on the light side, if you're both overly secure and you want that kind of person, but otherwise it's just a shame. Okay, so what can he do? I think at the end of the day we think about, okay, what would be better? Better would be to do this from the light side. So actually, if you just focus on helping people look better without necessarily going into demeaning them or thinking that's the entire way of life is all about just looks, then it can even be on the light side. You see it with a lot of healthy aesthetes who have the SXSP stacking. Again, it's only one version of this. They might thrive in showing people how to look better, right? So you see those services online, they already exist, and they can be on the light side of this personality. There is often like a spark or something genetic or historical in the person that also makes them want to focus more on the appearance rather than, let's say, morals or something else in the realm of the aesthete. Oftentimes these people used to look bad, or they used to struggle with their appearance, or certain things like that. At the end of the day, I also want to say all humans are attracted to good looks, right? I don't want to say that this is only applicable to the aesthete personality. Everyone is going to be attracted to someone who's good looking. Especially women, like I said earlier, have the pressure because men do care a lot about what their partner looks like. Now, that doesn't have to mean that she has to look perfect or that she even has to be super good looking. This is more the case with guys like this. But still, men are very much more visual inherently due to, biology. So it is universal, I want to say, okay? So just because a man is looking for a partner he's aesthetically attracted to, let's say, doesn't automatically mean that he is this personality type. Or if you are a woman, doesn't automatically mean that you are this personality type. But we are talking here not just of universalities, but we're also talking of specific variations of that. And personality types are specializations of the human psyche in order to create almost this omniscient or this overarching wisdom or application towards life. And that's why we have all these specializations, and all these purpose roles, personality types are just, like I said, variants of the same human psyche, and they are all a little specialized in the good way or extreme in the dark way. So yes, it is universal that appearance is going to help you no matter what your personality type is, but this specific configuration, this specific personality structure in combination with a dark side, with an insecurity, with a closed-mindedness and a certain history will emphasize that to an extreme where it is more important. And I think this is also why a lot of people who have this personality structure end up attracting a lot of people, right? Because they are really focusing on the universality of it, on the aesthetics aspect of it, and it appeals to so many people on a biological level. So this is also why a lot of guys tend to go for these kinds of women, because they know what to do and they play into the biological incentives or biological desires, let's say. So I just wanted to point that out, because you might say, but on the flip side also, people who are the opposite personality to this are gonna care the least about looks or just fitting a certain beauty standard, okay? So the opposite to this would be someone like, someone like the ENTP experimentalists, I call them, and INTP theorist. They are the least obsessed with this kind of stuff, okay? The least. Doesn't mean that they don't care about looks at all. The men also, they will still care on it on some level, but they will overall be way more forgiving. I also see that with some INFP men. And ENFP, it depends. ENFP is a bit of a depends, because ENFPs are often type 3s, and type 3 does care a lot about what society or the culture thinks. So then they also might be more inclined towards good looks. INFP, it also depends a bit. But certain personalities, also ISFJ, care way less about this. It depends on average, but your personality, certain personality types are less inclined to care because if they don't value or care about extrovert sensing and introverted feeling, especially the combination, they're way less inclined towards caring about this. But on some level, everybody does. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this, and see you in the next video. Bye!